Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's episode of Emotional Eating Unwrapped. And if you are watching on YouTube, you might see that I have a bunch of boxes behind me in a new location. My husband and I moved to Louisville, Kentucky. Louisville. I learned you have to say that. As a New Yorker, I say Louisville, but I'm learning to say Louisville. So we moved here not even a week ago. And so we're getting settled. And so my background is going to be different. Will hopefully be a bit tidier than this. But yeah, I'm coming to you from a new location. So if you're watching on YouTube, that is why it looks like a moving scene because it is. So, anyway, back to what we're here to talk about today, which is losing weight by eating with intention. So that's what today's episode is going to be about. We're going to talk about how to lose weight, how to feel good with food, how to create that relationship with food that feels symbiotic, that feels like that, that feels like that nourishing and just good, unstressful, uncomplicated relationship with food that we all want, that I know always wanted when I was when I was in the throes of my dysfunctional eating and when I was struggling with my relationship with food. And, eating with intention, I feel like the word intention can come across as really woo woo. It can come across kind of like you think about intention, it's like intention setting, or it's like sitting down with a journal and writing out all these aspirational things. But I want to share that the way that I view eating with intention, it's practical. Like everything I talk about, right? I talk about things that have aspirational themes, but I'm all about applied practice. I'm all about applying intention. What does it mean to eat with intention? How do you eat with intention? Right? What are the practical steps? Give me like actions. And that's really what I'm here to do. I'm here to give you those bite-sized actions of how you can actually lose weight by eating with intention, which means that you're not counting, you're not logging, you're not journaling. It really is a mindset. It really is an attitude. It's just shifting your perspective. It's shifting your attention from one place to the next. It's changing the channel. It's turning the dial, right? I don't know, maybe I have some more metaphors, but that's what it really is. So because so often when we think about weight loss, we think about strict diets, intense workouts, quick fixes, right? We think about 28-day challenges, this challenge, that challenge, this thing that starts and ends, this program that someone gives us that we follow for 1 month, 2 months, 4 months. But what if I really did tell you there's an easier, less restrictive approach that not only helps you lose those unwanted pounds, but actually transform your life with food? And so that's, again, what I'm going to be talking to you about today. So let's get into it. So, to begin, let's talk about exactly what eating with intention means. And what eating with intention means is being present. Okay, that's another word that's thrown around a lot. But what is being present eating? Right? It sounds good, but what does it mean to be present eating? And it means being fully engaged and taking full responsibility for your eating experience. Okay, it means being engaged, it means being awake, it means being attuned to your eating experience. It's not simply what you're eating, but how you're eating. And there are four main principles of intentional eating in my book. And I'm going to talk about these four principles with you today. So, the first principle is awareness. And this isn't awareness of the food you're eating itself. It's not like, oh, I am eating a slice of pizza. Let me eat this pizza with intention. It's really about, the awareness is really self-awareness. It's awareness of you as you're eating the food. So it's becoming aware of your eating attitude. It's becoming aware of your eating habits. It's recognizing your hunger and your fullness cues, and understanding if your impulse to eat is motivated by emotional triggers, a habit, or something else. These things are the building blocks of mindful, intentional eating. Like in total, in sum, it's about breaking free from being on autopilot and savoring each bite, not just by trying to dissect the food you're eating, but by turning inwards towards you and putting the spotlight and the attention on what is the experience of you as you are engaging in this activity of eating. So the second principle is engaging your senses and paying attention. So all the principles are going to somewhat bleed into each other. But the second principle is engaging your senses and paying attention. And so intentional eating requires us to practice mindfulness. Okay, mindfulness, again, another word that everyone says. But what does it mean to practice mindfulness, right? I want to know. Everyone says to practice mindfulness, but what exactly is that? How do you do that? And mindfulness, the practice of mindfulness, is rooted in being awake and engaged. So the practice of mindfulness is being awake and engaged, which means that you are receiving stimuli and you're participating in the energy of the moment-to-moment experience. Intentional eating, therefore, encourages us to pay attention to the food on our plate as well. Okay, so step one, principle one was, how are we? And step two is we're taking that broadened awareness and we're narrowing it now into our eating experience, and we're paying attention to the food on our plate, its colors, its textures, and its flavors. And so by taking the time to actually sensually inhabit and engage with each bite, we not only enhance the eating experience, but we also allow our bodies to register satisfaction more effectively. And being able to register satisfaction is probably one of the biggest skills that you need to lose weight, yes, but also to overcome emotional eating, to permanently shift your relationship to eating and food. It's understanding how to feel satisfied, not full, right? Because when we're full, it doesn't always mean we're satisfied, but how to register satisfaction, how to get our nervous system to go into that parasympathetic state of satisfaction. So we're not simply looking to feel full or stuffed. We're looking to feel satisfied. And the key for weight loss long term and healing attachments to food and eating, right? This is understanding how to register satisfaction in your own self is so key. It's so key. And it really does help to heal any attachments to food that may be rooted in stress relief or other coping mechanisms. And moving on to the third principle. So the first principle, just to review, the first principle is awareness, but by that I mean self-awareness. The second principle is attention and engagement and participation, right? So we're open, receptivity, we're open to collecting feedback. We're open to engaging with our senses. And the third principle now is non-judgment and empowered decision-making. So the third principle of intentional eating is non-judgment and empowered decision-making. And this is crucial in breaking the cycle of guilt and shame associated with food. So instead of labeling food as good or bad, or having rules around food, or getting seduced by getting seduced by programs where, you're logging food, or where you have limits based on a certain macro count that's kind of giving you that safety, and that sense of boundaries. That's not how you learn how to intentionally eat for weight loss. Because in the back of your mind, that number or that external metric, that external accountability mechanism is the lever that's giving you the permission and the safety to eat. It's not your empowered decision-making intention. And so what we're doing here is that we eat and we focus on nourishment, enjoyment, and again, we use the self-awareness, we use the satisfaction principle, and we train our minds, bodies, and nervous system to trust that it doesn't need to be that measured and perfect to achieve the results that we want or to feel how we want to feel with eating. Okay, so empowered decision making and non-judgment are so, so important, because the truth is, oftentimes many people who have success with weight loss or changing their behaviors with food through methods like logging and tracking the first time they do it, this is the thing with that, right? You do it once, the first time you do it, you have success. And I had success the first time that I macro count. I'm not going to lie about that. I think I lost 15 pounds the first time I tried macro counting, but I didn't have the empowerment. I didn't have intentionality, the skills of intentional eating, right? A lot of it was externally motivated. The accountability was external. And so when I inevitably gained the weight back, I went back and chased it, right? I kept going back to the macro counting. I kept going back. I was like chasing that first feeling. I was chasing that initial result. I kept thinking that one method was the way because it had worked, and it kind of worked really easily. But that's the thing about when you do something new with your body, especially something that will shift its body which will shift your body chemistry, which calculating macros differently or calories does. You can lose weight, but it's usually not a permanent solution. It's most often not a permanent solution. And you do end up kind of, imagine it almost is like if you go on a first date with someone and it was an amazing first date, and you say you're going to see each other again. You're so excited. You really think this person might be the one. This person, you got this feeling. It was like, this is the best. And then they said they were going to, plan another date, and that doesn't end up happening. Every time they text you, and then they start occasionally texting you like once a month, right? Like, hey, what's up? Every time they text you, you're going to go back because you think you're going to recapture that first time. And that's what this is. You think you're going to recapture that first time, but it never actually works. And it's about realizing that ultimately we want freedom. We want to have freedom from always having to strategize about food, right? We don't always want to be thinking about it. And the only way to do that is to take away the guardrails that these other methods create and learn how to trust yourself and your choices and your ability to self regulate your appetite and make decisions about how to create meals on your own while still getting the results you want. Right? It's about not responding to that, hey, what's up? It's about not going back to that, oh, I'm just going to go back to my macro calorie counting. I have to lose weight. Right? It's about taking another route, turning the page, changing the channel. Right? All those metaphors I said in the beginning. It's trusting that there's a more empowered way where you don't have to give up all of your, you don't have to give up all of your agency and pin your hopes on something outside of yourself. And the last principle is gratitude. And this is just a principle that I find helps almost with everything in life. Just reflecting on how grateful and lucky we are. And this isn't like a band-aid. This isn't like toxic positivity where, oh, I feel this way, just be grateful. It's not that. That's why it's the fourth principle. Because you want to go through all these principles first, because then you'll naturally unfold into gratitude, where you're grateful for the food on your plate and the journey it took to get there. And it almost is like the icing on top of it all, where it just kind of puts a nice bow on how lucky we are to even have a relationship with eating, that we even have this conversation about eating food. And when you have that attitude about it, there's not, it kind of, it almost de-stresses, it decompresses the pressure that we might sometimes feel about food. When we just are grateful for it and we know that, and we're grateful that we have it in abundance. And that's it. That's really it. And so I just want to go over the practical tips that that we can use and do to incorporate this intentional eating into daily life. And I've gone over them already, but I'm just going to make them a little bit bite-sized. So again, it's self-awareness. It is attention and the satisfaction principle. It's learning how to make decisions from your own sense of empowerment without needing that external validation. And it's teaching the nervous system how to get comfortable with making choices and living with the uncertainty of a choice. And, saying, oh, I'm going to choose to eat this, waiting to see how you feel about it. Might not feel great, but you know what? That's okay. Learning how to sit with the discomfort, recognizing that feeling of discomfort is impermanent and it changes. And so the more that you experience that arc of being able to make a choice, sit with the feedback of that choice, recognize that feedback or whatever experience that you're having from that choice is impermanent. That is really what helps to give you the trust you need to eat with intention. And again, a lot of what I talk about is how you can shift your relationship with food to lose weight, to feel good in your body. And it is a really good way to lose weight, but more importantly, it's a lifestyle and mindset shift that gives you not only a healthier relationship with food, but a healthier relationship with life overall. And that's really what we want. We want to enjoy life. We want to be free from from the vrittis, which is a word that we use in yoga, which is the distractions right? The word vritti is like a distracted mind. From the vrittis that come into our brains that interrupt our experience of enjoyment. And that's all I have for you today. So, thank you so much for joining me today, whether it's on Spotify, Apple, YouTube. If you're into video, I have all my episodes, video episodes, all these episodes on video on YouTube. So, if you want to go watch me there, go ahead, Be Well by AK. And don't forget to join me again next week with another new episode about emotional eating so you can fall in love with eating and start losing weight, keeping it off with sustainable strategies and lasting change. And if you found this episode insightful, please subscribe, leave a review on Apple or Spotify, and share it with those who may benefit from this empowering knowledge. I also have free resources on my website to help you on your journey to loving food and losing weight. Just go to www.bewellbyak.com. And until next time, I'm Alana, and thank you for listening to Emotional Eating Unwrapped.